Hey, Michelle, how are you? How are you? How's it going?
I'm doing well, Lindsay. How are you?
Good. Michelle, do you have any big plans coming up? Anything big on the horizon?
Let's see. Well, I think we just signed my son up for playing baseball.
Oh, nice.
So my big plans are changing into a bit of a sports mom. But it's just for a season. It's just the first time he's doing it. But so
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of my plans will revolve around, games and things like that. So I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. It'll be very cute to see him. I have a feeling his little sister will be cheering him along, and
Oh, that's great. That's great.
yeah, so that's exciting. So Lindsay, though, but when we talk about big plans, we mean plans that are important,
Yes.
But the term big can actually get confusing because it has more meaning than just the word large, right? It's more than that.
Yes, it does, right? It's not just that it's yeah. So we're going to get into this today because it's based on a listener question, and these are our favorite episodes, Michelle, that are based on listener questions. So shall I go ahead and read the question?
Sure, please.
All right, this is from YouTube. Guys, don't forget that we have a thriving YouTube channel. If you go over to YouTube and you type in All Ears English Podcast, you will find us. You can hit subscribe over there, okay? So this is from Vincent Rodriguez. There we go. Hello, it's great to listen to you. I would like you to clarify the correct usage of big versus great, little versus small. My name is Vincent from the Dominican Republic. All right. Yeah.
Great question, Vincent. Thank you so much. I'm sure that a lot of our listeners have questions about this.
Huge. Yes. And I love when our listeners send in those very specific questions. So we're going to explain the differences today, what they mean, and when and what scenarios you would use each one. Okay.
Yeah, because these words are similar for sure, but they are used differently. But we use them constantly in conversation.
It's true.
And they're very important for connection, not only for describing things, but they also help show emotion. Like, for example, big plans sounds much more important than just saying plans.
Yes, right. There's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
If something is going to have a big impact on your life, if it means a lot to you, you should say big plans, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, don't forget to go ahead and hit the follow button right now on the podcast if you don't want to miss a single episode. Or if you're in YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to the show. All right?
Definitely.
Good.
All right. So let's start with big and great, Lindsay.
Okay.
When would we use big?
Well, big is definitely used to talk about physical size. So we're not going to say that doesn't hold up here. That obviously does. It's the most obvious one. But it's also used to talk about so many other things like importance, a big decision, right?
Yep.
Seriousness, a big problem, life moments. Tomorrow's a big day. She got a big promotion, right? So it's so much more than just saying I have a big house, right?
Right. That's kind of, maybe that's the first thing people think of, that usage, but there's a lot more to it. And we can also use big with certain words a lot. There are just little chunks that you might hear. So for example, big deal, big opportunity, big mistake. What else, Lindsay?
Big change. Or big fan. I'm a big fan. You are a big fan, Michelle, of Pink. I know that.
Yes. I was just watching stuff about Pink yesterday, and my love was renewed all over again. I love you, Pink. Okay.
But you know what's funny about the phrase big deal, though? Sometimes that's used sarcastically to mean the thing is actually quite small, right? You went, big deal. Or no big deal. We say no big deal, I guess.
Right. But we don't even you're right. Sometimes we say, big deal. It's like, who cares? Right.
We do say that. So be careful here, guys. Some of these are used to mean the opposite of what we're saying. But let's get back to the episode, Michelle. What about great? When would we use great?
Yeah. So great is used to talk about quality, right? So she's a great teacher.
Yes.
Or a positive experience. So we had a great time at the pool today. Or could also be a strong recommendation. So that's a great idea. What else do we use great with?
I mean, we use great with a lot of things like jobs, like great job, right?
Yeah.
So the work you've done, right? You've done a great job preparing this episode, Michelle. Our team has done a great job preparing this episode. Thank you to our team member. Cheryl helped prepare this one, I think. Great news, right? Great effort, or great question, or great idea. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, can we use great to mean something big in physical size?
So sometimes you hear this, right?
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more rare. I've heard it used, right? Just not in like everyday conversation. It feels a little more formal, maybe on the news, right? I've heard politicians say we faced great challenge in, negotiating with this country, that kind of thing.
Right. And that's not even necessarily about actual size, but you will see it in literature. So if you want to, like something, the size of something, you might read something like the great mountain stood before them.
Yeah. It's just,
so, I mean, yeah, exactly. And informal titles, to mean big, you might hear like Great Lakes, the Great Wall of China,
Great Sand Dunes. I think that's in Colorado. Yeah, there's a lot of national parks or like places on the map marked great as part of their name.
You also will just hear like the Great Indoors or the Great Outdoors, right? Both of them. No, but isn't there? I think there might be a store called the Great Indoors. I don't know, but the Great Outdoors. But any similar words? We kind of touched on one of them already.
I mean, of course, the word large comes up, right? If we're going to talk about big, great, we got to talk about large.
Yeah, we gotta.
So when would we use large now, Michelle?
Yeah, well, so we use it to mean size, like big, but it sounds a little bit more neutral and factual, right? Okay. So like size, she works for a large corporation.
Or numbers, a large number of people attended the concert. Okay.
Or scale. They deal with inventory on a large scale.
But we wouldn't really use it for emotional situations. Like that's a large mistake. Would we say that? Does that feel strange?
No, that feels very strange, don't you think?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like large is a little bit more scientific. It feels a little more scientific.
A little more
neutral,
academic in a way.
Yes, totally. 100%.
Hey, quick question. Do you want to feel more confident when you speak English? If so, we made a free guide for you. It'll help you avoid those common mistakes and start speaking more naturally in real conversations. Go grab it in the description below. And if this is helpful for you, make sure that you like and subscribe. We're here 5 times a week to help you connect in English.
All right, Michelle. So the listener also asked about small and little. Yeah, a lot of these little words that can trip us up. We think we know them, but maybe we don't quite know them as well as we think, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So for small, small is the opposite of large. It's about size. And it also sounds factual. So, for example, I live in a small apartment. So I run a small business. That's a good chunk. Or I made a small mistake.
Yes. And usually a small business is defined by the number of employees. I think in the U.S., though, I want to say it's either employees less than 100 or less than 500 employees. It's not that small.
They're
not that small. Small businesses, some of them are not. And some of them, like, sometimes you say like micro businesses. I would call us kind of a micro business, right? But I also use the term small business to refer to us too. So lots of details here, Michelle. What about with certain expressions?
Yeah. So we might, this is really common. It's such a small world, right? That's used mostly when, if there's some sort of coincidence or you meet someone. I remember when I was in San Francisco, when I was probably 10 years old, we ran into someone that we knew in like a tea garden. Of course. And they were like, are those the Kaplans? And, that's certainly a time when you would use a
Yep, this happens all the time. And I think there was also a song, I like there was a ride at theme parks, Small World, and they would play that song.
That's
World.
Disney World.
Yeah, Disney
Lindsay,
World.
you got to get on this.
I got to get on it. I know, now that I'm going to be having a child, I got to get into Disney.
Yeah, I'm not going to sing the song for you, but it's a small world after all. Yeah,
everyone knows this. Yeah, for sure.
But there's also small talk, which we talk about all the time in the show. So we wouldn't say, I mean, just you could say, I hate small talk.
Exactly. And it's funny, like, why don't we say, I hate big talk? We don't say big talk, right? It doesn't, it doesn't exist. So sometimes the opposite can't be used, right? Keep that in mind, guys. Or we don't say large talk either. Right?
No. There's also small and large could be used for clothing sizes, right? Small, medium, large.
Right, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then little is the opposite of big, right? So we're talking about little now. What is little, Michelle? It can refer to size.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's also more casual, and it also it could add a little emotion or attitude. So it could soften situations. So, for example, we said earlier, small mistake, but you could say, oh, so I made a little mistake, right?
A little mistake, a little mistake, right?
So it's cute. It's like, oh, it's so cute.
It's
such a cute little mistake.
As you deliver that word, you can play around with your tone of voice, right?
Yeah.
You can show sympathy. Oh, you poor little thing, right?
Yeah. But it could be endearing, right? So look at that cute little puppy. Like I wouldn't say that cute small puppy.
Right. You're right. Yeah. It's kind of a chunk thing going on here, Michelle, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could also use it to show annoyance. That little kid is driving me nuts. You wouldn't say that small kid is driving me nuts. That little kid, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So yeah, there is some chunk stuff going on here where it just sounds more natural.
Yeah, it's true. Or like when I told one friend that I was going to have a baby, he said, "Oh, congratulations on your little baby." And it wouldn't make sense to say congratulations on your small baby.
Yeah.
That would mean like too small, like scientifically
right.
small,
That would be actually about commenting on the actual size of the baby and like, I don't know, it would be weird.
Yeah. So there is some nuance here. There is some nuance here, Michelle.
Yeah. So we also use it to describe quantity, like a small amount. So, but you would say, can I have a little bit of mayonnaise?
Mm-hmm. Or there's only a little left in the jar. There's only a little jam left in the jar or something. Or mayonnaise.
Or he's a little annoying.
Yeah. And then siblings, of course, you know.
Yeah.
They use these words to talk about each other, right? I have a big sister and a little brother, right?
Yes.
Michelle, you have although as an adult, would you say I have a big brother? Not really, right?
I'd probably say older. Right.
Brother.
Then I think it becomes, you say older or younger, right?
Exactly. At some point
you have a younger brother.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's when you become like a teenager, you would no longer say, well, if your brother's younger, I have a little brother, you could probably still say that. But when you become an adult, it's not little, big. It's older, younger.
Although I do sometimes hear adults even say things like, "Oh, my baby brother." You know, you still like you still can.
It's
but
true.
yeah, you could also use older or younger.
Yeah. There's again nuance there, real nuance.
Yeah, of course.
That's
whatever
so
is in your
funny.
personality. Yep.
I never would have imagined we'd find so much nuance in an episode about big, small, little. You know, I never would have thought that we would find this level of nuance here. It's incredible.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting to talk about and discover. So, should we do a role play?
Let's do it, Michelle. So here, you and I are friends. You were asking me about my weekend. Woohoo!
Yes. Okay. Here we go. So, do you have any big plans this weekend?
Kind of. I'm helping my little sister move into her new place.
Oh, nice. Is it a big apartment?
Not really. It's pretty small, but it's in a great neighborhood.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Location is everything.
Exactly. She's really excited to be within walking distance of her favorite cafe.
Oh, well, I completely get that. It's the little things in life.
Totally. She doesn't need a large space, just a nice environment. So this is interesting because this is an example where I'm assuming you and I are not like 7 years old, right? Talking about her sister. So we did say little sister, right? Yeah. So there you go. right?
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about that nuance, and I wonder if you would be more likely to say younger sister if I said, do you have any siblings? Right, like rather than like talking about her, referring to her, oh, my little sister, like, but I would say, I don't know. It's interesting. Something to explore. Pay attention.
I think there might be a little something there in terms of how close you are to the person too.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep.
Yeah. I think if you feel a sense of endearment towards your younger sister, you might be more likely to say little sister, I think.
Right. No, I agree. And I also think it's more likely if they, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, if they are younger than you. To be like, oh, my little sister, my baby sister, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You mean like significantly younger or just
no, just like being like, you have this pride over being the older sibling. Oh, my little sister, like,
right.
But I don't know, like, I don't think that I would say like my big brother, but I'm very close to my brother.
Right. Maybe it's something about a younger sister.
I don't know. We have to pay attention, Lindsay.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I would never say my little brother. And I would say I'm probably less close to my brother than you are to your brother. I have a feeling you're closer to your brother. But I would say my younger brother or just my brother. Sometimes he doesn't feel younger. He's got like a 11-year-old child. And
right.
So anyways, there's a lot there, but just listen, observe native speakers as they say this, guys, and start to pick up on that nuance, right?
Yes. All right, let's go through this role play. So I said, do you have any big plans this weekend?
Yep. And then I said, kind of, I'm helping my little sister move into her new place, right?
Yep. And then I said, oh, nice. Is it a big apartment? So the size?
The size. And I said, not really. It's pretty small, but it's in a great neighborhood. And here, great means what, Michelle? It means
like a high quality. Like wonderful. There's like lots of things around. Just
desirable.
Really nice.
Yep.
Desirable. Yep.
Yep. And then what else?
So I said, I completely get that. It's the little things in life, which is really almost just like an expression. When you say, oh, it's, you'll hear that people say that a lot. It's the little things in life. It's like, you don't need necessarily the big, grand, amazing things in life to make you happy. It's the little things that sometimes make all the difference.
Yep. That's really just more of a chunk or a saying, like you said. And then I said, totally. She doesn't need a large space, just a nice environment. And this is an example of where we could interchange big or large. She doesn't need a big space. She doesn't need a large space, right? Both would work in that scenario, but not in everyone, as we've just learned. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yes. Good.
Oh, wow. So a lot here. So guys, check out episode 2568. That was as well versus to versus also in English. So another one about is, kind of small words that can make a big difference.
Yeah, really good stuff today. Michelle, any final takeaway? I guess what comes to mind for me is don't assume, like these seem like simple words, right? But just kind of think twice and observe. Don't assume you totally know them because we're showing you maybe a different side of these words today that you may not have known before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Really interesting. And just, I think it's also just interesting how much conversation we got into over just these little words. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. All right, Lindsay. Well, I'm glad we were able to have a big discussion about this.
A robust discussion, Michelle.
Robust.
Good stuff.
Yes, exactly.
We'll talk to you very soon, Michelle. Have a good day. All right.
You too. Bye.
Okay.